Today we're playing Bilbo Thief in the Night from the Hobbit in Vintage Underworld Breach Combo. This is a spicy one. Let's go check it out. Today we're playing Vintage Underworld Breach Combo featuring Bilbo Thief in the Night, a brand new card from the Hobbit. 2 mana total, 1 and a blue for a legendary halfling rogue creature. It's a 2/2. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 generic mana less to cast. Whenever you attack with Bilbo, you can cast an instant, sorcery, or artifact card from your graveyard. If it's an instant or sorcery card, you exile that card once you cast it. So Bilbo is like a mini Lurrus of the Dream Den. And in fact, because Bilbo costs 2, you could actually play it in your Lurrus of the Dream Den deck, which is really nice. So you could cycle things like Mishra's Bauble over and over again to accumulate card advantage. Or in this deck, you could actually keep on casting Black Lotus over and over again with Bilbo. Black Lotus, one of the most broken cards in Magic the Gathering's history, every single turn with Bilbo for as little as 2 mana. It's disgusting. So we get to do that here. And then to help leverage Bilbo Thief in the Night, I've made a change that is going to be a little unpopular with this deck. So a lot of people that play Vintage, especially the Vintage Challenges, like to play Gifts and Given. And my hot take for you is that it's not a competitive choice. Gifts and Given is a 4 mana instant, and it puts 2 cards to your hand, 2 to the graveyard, depending on, what your opponent wants to do. And it's a card you're allowed to register, but I don't think it's a competitive choice. Where Flow State is a competitive choice that you could register. In your deck with all of the broken Moxen, you have Force of Will, Force of Negation. You get instant to the graveyard fairly easily. You have Lorien Revealed, things like, Ataxian Probe, etc. You're able to turn on Flow State very easily. And then with Bilbo Thief in the Night, you could even replay Flow State from your graveyard for a single mana. This is so much better than Gifts and Given. And Gifts and Given requires you to play Mana Drain, so you have to keep open 2 blue mana on your opponent's turn, hoping to counter something of relevance. And in your deck with Urza's Saga and off-color Moxen, like Mox Ruby, Mox Pearl, etc., it's a higher cost than you may believe. And I think holding open mana in Vintage, hoping to counter something meaningful, isn't what you want to be doing. I understand that Mana Drain allows you to then use the 3 mana for the companion to go to your hand, but I just don't think that's a choice I want to be doing. If I was playing an Eternal Weekend, you wouldn't catch me dead playing Gifts and Given, because I don't think that's a card that's going to allow you to make top 8. Yes, Underworld Breach is really powerful, and it can carry bad cards in your deck, but I don't want Underworld Breach to carry bad cards. I want good cards in my deck to perform at a average level. Because if your average level of the strength of your deck is higher, that allows you to just perform better when your draws are ideal. So that's what I would like to do. And it's not a knock on anyone that likes Gifts and Given. I just don't think it's what you should be doing if your goal is to win. And that is why today I'm playing Flow State and Stock Up over Mana Drain and Gifts and Given. So that's really it. Bilbo Thief in the Night also took a couple of those slots, but I think Bilbo Thief in the Night plus Flow State is a better choice. And if you're upset by this, you don't have to watch the video, but that is my thesis and what I believe. So a change that I've made in the sideboard is I am no longer playing Leyline of the Void. And in my previous Breach video, I did play Leyline of the Void. But I think with Bilbo Thief in the Night, having Soul Guide Lantern or Tormod's Crypt every single turn is a lot more realistic against a deck like Dredge. Previously, you had to rely on paying 3 mana for Lurrus of the Dream Den, and then casting it versus Dredge and having your Soul Guide Lantern or Tormod's Crypt. It was a tall ask to do quickly versus Dredge, where I feel like resolving Bilbo Thief in the Night should be fairly easy. So that is what I'm going to do today. I am not playing Leyline of the Void for once. And then another really nice thing about Bilbo Thief in the Night is that you have Dismember. So with Dismember and Bilbo Thief in the Night, you can actually cast Dismember entirely for free from the graveyard. You could pay the Phyrexian black mana being 4 life plus the 1 generic, which is reduced by Bilbo, and then kill initiative creatures for free. That seems pretty good to me, so we'll be doing that. And that's my deck tech. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I do just want to hop on in and play. And I think Bilbo is going to be the real deal. Let's find out if that's true in match number 1, and I will see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1. We are on the play, and we're facing a supporter of the channel, Circe, who likes Black Saga Storm. So to start off the match, I've told Circe that Black Saga Storm stinks just to give him a tough time. We see a Kahira the Orphan Guard. That's spicy. And I have a Lurrus of the Dream Den, so we both begin the game with Pokemon. So this Undercity Sewers is stopping me from having a turn 1 Bilbo, but I think we keep this anyway. We'll play Mishra's Bauble, and then let's activate it. Void Mirror. I don't love that. We'll play Mox Sapphire and Undercity Sewers. Do I keep the Force of Negation for Void Mirror? I think so. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to exile the Bilbo. Mishra's Workshop and Void Mirror. Yeah, I'm going to counter this. And then in my upkeep, let's Vampiric Tutor. So I'm just talking out loud. If I were to grab Black Lotus, I could then go Demonic Tutor and have 2 mana available, which isn't really enough to do anything. So I think we just grab Ancestral Recall. And now we'll Ancestral Recall, play a Mox Pearl, and now pass the turn. Thespian Stage, we're getting spicy. Null Rod, I will Force of Will. Circe passes the turn. Low State. We have only instant in the graveyard, but I do have a Demonic Tutor right now. So let's play the Demonic Tutor. Is it crazy to just grab Volcanic Island here? Because that would give me a braid for whatever they do next turn. I wonder if I'm actually supposed to just grab Tolarian Academy. I could also grab Urza's Saga. I think it's Tolarian Academy. We'll play Tolarian Academy, and now we'll play Flow State. This can take 2 cards. We'll take Stock Up and Flow State. Pass the turn. And they just passed the turn without doing anything. A little surprised by that. We'll begin with another Flow State. Take Mox Jet and Scalding Tarn. Play the Scalding Tarn. Play the Mox Jet. We'll go search out a Volcanic Island. Tap the Tolarian Academy for 3 and we'll play Stock Up, Underworld Breach, Time Walk, and that's the game. Flow State is a powerful card. Play the Time Walk. Tap for a red and Underworld Breach. We'll cast Demonic Tutor. Go grab Black Lotus. Play the Black Lotus. Sacrifice. Actually, let's tap the Tolarian Academy. And now we'll sacrifice Demonic Tutor again. Grab the Brain Freeze. Target ourselves. 1. Okay. And they concede. So we're facing some sort of prison deck with Kahira. Magic Online, I don't know why you'd think I would want my sideboard to look like that. Okay, so we probably want Consign to Memory. Maybe even Mindbreak Trap on the draw. I don't think we want Flusterstorm, Pyroblast. So we still need 3 cuts. I don't think I want to board out Bilbo. I think Bilbo is going to be decent here still. You could argue for Mental Misstep, but on the draw it does counter Vexing Bauble. Outside of that, they don't have many targets though. So maybe it is supposed to just be Mental Misstep. Probably don't need Gitaxian Probe. Maybe like 1 Mishra's Bauble. Let's try this. Once again, we both reveal our Pokemon to start off the game. And I have Mindbreak Trap and Force of Negation. I'm going to keep this. I need another mana so I can play Bilbo and then something to do with it. But I like having free interaction versus the prison deck. Waterlogged Grove. Fast Bond. I'm going to counter Fast Bond. It looks like they're passing here. Stock Up. I would need mana in order to cast that, but sure. Ancient Tomb. Void Mirror. I will fetch. Grab a basic island. Consign to Memory. And I did not draw the mana. I must pass. Unfortunate. Another Ancient Tomb. 5 mana now. For a Perennial Behemoth. Yeah, you got it. You drew Mox Sapphire. Okay. I think I'm going to just play Bilbo here and then pass. Fun fact about Bilbo and Underworld Breach is that Bilbo reduces the cost of spells played off of Underworld Breach. So, for example, Demonic Tutor would just cost a single black. They put Kahira to their hand. Sure. Another flow state. I guess we'll cast a flow state. Take the Lotus Petal. Play Lotus Petal. And I will pass. They now have a Kahira the Orphan Guard. Sure. Now they can attack with their Behemoth without giving up the ability to block my Bilbo Thief in the Night. 3 cards remain in their hand. We draw Black Lotus. Let's go! Is this a win? This has got to be a win somehow, some way. Alright, so I think we just start off with Flow State. We'll take Consign to Memory and Vampiric Tutor. Sacrifice Black Lotus for blue. And then I can play Underworld Breach, replay Black Lotus. Alright, Underworld Breach, replay Black Lotus. And now I can Vampiric Tutor for Brain Freeze. And then play Stock Up. Take the Brain Freeze and Misty Rainforest. We'll play the land. Fetch. Grab Volcanic Island. And I guess I should play Black Lotus. Because I could set up a Mindbreak Trap hard cast, which I think is what we want here. And now I'll replay Black Lotus. So even if they have like Blusterstorm or something, I can hard cast Mindbreak Trap and then we win. Brain Freeze. Target myself. Well, they're not conceding. This is not at all what I expected their deck was, by the way. And now we'll sacrifice Black Lotus. We'll recast it. Okay, and they concede the match. So we've won round number 1 in Vintage versus Kahira Prison. And we are now 1-0.
Building a new deck usually means getting hit with a dozen different shipping fees from a dozen different sellers. It adds up fast, and honestly, it's the worst part of buying cards. That's why I switched to Card Trader Zero. You shop their global marketplace, but instead of having every seller ship to you, they ship to Card Trader's hub first. Card Trader then packs everything into a single shipment for you, and it saves a small fortune on shipping fees. This package from Card Trader just arrived. These are 4 Dark Rituals that came from 4 different sellers, but they all arrived in one envelope, and every card was quality checked by the Card Trader team before it hit my door. Check out the link in the description to try Card Trader Zero's optimizer for yourself. Stop paying for multiple shipments and get just one.
We're facing another supporter. Here we're facing Joel, who's a legacy show and tell enthusiast. We'll begin the match by revealing our Lurrus of the Dream Den. They do not have a Pokemon. And this is a turn 1 win? Am I wrong? So we can go Black Lotus. I think we're 1 mana short, actually. I will still keep. Yeah, I keep on coming up 1 mana short of winning. I've been thinking about it while they decide if they're keeping their hand or not, and I keep on just thinking that I can Demonic Tutor for Brain Freeze, but then I can't cast it. So we'll begin with Underground Sea, Black Lotus, Mox Pearl, Demonic Tutor. I'll grab Ancestral Recall. I thought about briefly getting Bilbo Thief in the Night, but I think that's just like too insane even for me. They have their own Black Lotus, Volcanic Island, sacrifices for red, Hexing Squelcher. That's problematic. Yeah, not a lot I can do about that. Jeez Louise. How am I going to win this? I have 1 Abrade in my deck. So I guess I have to find the Abrade. Play the Volcanic Island. Ancestral Recall. It resolves. I guess I have Merchant Scroll for Sink in a Stupor as well. We'll play Bilbo Thief in the Night. This will allow me to recast the Ancestral Recall next turn or the Demonic Tutor. And they Force of Will Bilbo, but not Ancestral Recall. Surprised. Okay. And they're playing Show and Tell in Vintage. They exiled the Show and Tell. We have to pass. They have a land, 1 card in their hand. Force of Will. Let's play Merchant Scroll. This can go grab the Sink in a Stupor. And we'll pass the turn. They have a land. Ouch. I'm going to just Surveil here. Grab the Undercity Sewers. Get rid of Lorien Revealed. I don't want or need that. Play the Volcanic Island. Let's attempt a Sink in a Stupor on Vexing Bauble. They sacrifice the Vexing Bauble. Sink in a Stupor will fizzle. We'll sacrifice Black Lotus for blue. Underworld Breach. We'll replay Black Lotus. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to exile the Ancestral Recall here. Actually, hold on. They're playing Show and Tell. What if there's an Emrakul in their deck? Am I crazy if I play Stock Up here? I probably am. I have a Lotus Petal. I don't actually need Black Lotus to win. I just wonder if that's too crazy. I just don't want to exile the Ancestral Recall, but the Stock Up would have to hit perfects. Alright, I think I'm just not supposed to play around Emrakul. Like, they're probably not playing Emrakul. We'll grab Brain Freeze. Target myself. replay Black Lotus. We'll sacrifice Black Lotus. Brain freeze myself again. Alright, so they milled in a Troxa. Might as well play a Bilbo. It's going to make brain freeze cheaper. Okay. Play Black Lotus. Make blue. We'll brain freeze. Target them. Ah, there is an Emrakul. No! I don't even know how I'm going to win this now. I need to, like, find my Urza Saga. Because I exiled the Ancestral Recall. We'll play Black Lotus. Make red. We're going to kill the Hexing Squelcher. Because at least I can control the game from there. Exile Pyroblast, Mana Crypt, and Flusterstorm. I'll pay the 2 life. And now we'll stock up. Cost 2. Exile a Braid, Flow State, and Lotus Petal. Take Flow State and Vampiric Tutor. Play another stock up. Exile some Moxen. We find the Urza Saga. I just have to pretend to be Urza Saga control the rest of the game. And then replay Soul Ring. Actually, it's probably better to do Black Lotus. Exile the Brain Freeze. And I've played my land, so we will pass. Yeah, I don't... My opponent is saying you exiled your recall. I'm aware that I exiled my recall. Thank you. But I can still win. I just have to use the combat step. They play a Mox Ruby. I know using the combat step is for suckers, but, like, we can do it. Ooh, Time Walk. That's a good one. So let's put Lurrus of the Dream Den to hand. And then we'll cast the Lurrus. Replay Black Lotus. Cast Time Walk. And now we'll attack. Soul Ring. And now we go to our next turn. Saga goes to the second chapter. We'll attack for 5. Cast the Time Walk. Make another construct. Or I should say make a first construct. They'll take 5. And I'd like to Vampiric Tutor. I just want to see what's in the deck. We'll put Probe on top. So I can deal them 11 here, which is 1 short. We'll make another construct. Fail to find. And swing. Oh, I could have done this better. I could have Underworld Breach Time Walk so they never even got a turn instead of casting it off Bilbo. Yeah, I could have done that better. So they go to 1. We have a handful of interaction, but I could have played that better. Because I could have just looped Time Walk forever. Not forever, but enough to kill them. Alright, so we win game number 1 despite not playing perfectly. We'll bring in Mindbreak Trap. We probably want Dismember for Hexing Squelcher. I wonder if you want, like, 1 Soul Guide Lantern. Just so that way if you exile your Ancestral Recall somehow, or if it gets hit by Force of Negation, that you can still deck them. Maybe take out Mishra's Baubles. Get rid of the... Do I want to get rid of Vampiric Tutor? I think I do. That's 62 cards. Maybe we'll shave 1 Bilbo. So, like, Consign to Memory could stop the Atraxa trigger. It could also stop the Emrakul Shuffle trigger. I just don't know how good it is in this matchup. We'll board out all the Lorien Revealeds, and I'll bring in a couple copies of Consign to Memory. Let's try this. Boarding out Lorien Revealed can be risky because it's sort of a part of your mana base. So you could be punished. It's just, I don't see myself ever casting Lorien Revealed versus Sneak and Show in Vintage. So that is why I'm choosing to play like this. And this hand is very good. This is a turn 1 stock up with double Forcible backup. They have Black Lotus again. We're going to let it go. If I was on the play, I'd definitely use my Consign to Memory. And Ponder. A card that I don't even feel like is really that legacy playable anymore. Like, it's still fine. Like, people are going to get upset by that. It's like an okay card. But with the London Mulligan and Surveil lands, I feel like the value of Ponder has diminished a lot in the last few years. And deck building hasn't really caught up as much, at least from a combo perspective. It might be better in fair decks. I'm willing to accept that. But from a combo perspective, I feel like a lot of people are clinging on to Ponder still, and it's not as good. It's not as good as it used to be pre-London Mulligan. And now a stock up. They're on 3 cards. I'm going to counter this. Exile Consign to Memory. They Forcible back exiling Atraxa. I will Forcible back exile Flow State. Not up in here, Joe. Not up in here. You have 1 card in hand. We find Underworld Breach. Not a terrible draw, but not a card I actually need at the moment. Stock up. We'll take Brain Freeze, Flow State. Pass the turn. They have 1 card in hand and a Tolarian Academy that currently does not tap for mana. They play Volcanic Island. Mana Crypt. Ouch. We'll play Underground Sea. Flow State for 2. I think we just take the Urza Saga here. Play my Mox Emerald. And I'm going to put Lurrus to hand. Pass. They pass the turn with 2 cards. Mana Crypt. We'll say Tails. Mental Misstep. So I can play Underworld Breach into Stock Up. But if I don't find anything, we fizzle. But I do have the Lurrus, so maybe that's okay. We'll play Underworld Breach. Play Stock Up. We'll take Mox Jet and Scalding Tarn. Play the land. Mox Jet. And now we can Brain Freeze for 12. And Lotus Petal or Black Lotus should win it. All at me. And we didn't even hit a 0 to replay. So I must pass the turn. I do have Lurrus in hand, though, for next turn. I can play Lurrus into Underworld Breach. But that would be all of my colored mana. No, I have the Mox Jet. I could still play Brain Freeze. Tails. And that's a Mox Ruby. So I think we've got it here. As long as they don't have any interaction. Lurrus. Players of Saga. Underworld Breach. I don't see a way to find Lotus Petal or Black Lotus, so I'm going to just Brain Freeze here. Target myself. There's the Lotus Petal. Okay. And I hit the Black Lotus. And they concede. So we're now 2-0. Bilbo, Lurrus, Breach looking pretty good. Let's go try and get the next 3.
Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game.
We're on the draw for match number 3, revealing our Lurrus, and we have a solid hand here. I was really hoping we were facing a blue deck with the hand I kept, and they have turn 1 Mishra's Workshop into a Scrawling Crawler. Sure. Do I want to pay 3 life for this Gitaxian Probe? I think I do, unfortunately. Well, I drew a Forcible, that's pretty good. They have the Fantasticar. Okay. We'll play Mox Ruby, fetch, grab Underground Sea. I think I'd like to Merchant Scroll here. And I know that this is crazy. I'm going to grab Ancestral Recall into the Scrawling Crawler. Mana Crypt. We're like an Underworld Breach away. They swing, we'll go to 11. Another Mishra's Workshop. And they do not play the Fantasticar, so they did not draw the spell to trigger it. Mishra's Bauble. We'll play Mana Crypt. I mean, this is going to be a very risky turn for me. Between dealing myself 3 damage and playing a Mana Crypt. Ancestral Recall. Alright, so I'll go to 7. We'll play Stock Up, which finds Demonic Tutor. So we're definitely taking Demonic Tutor, and then I think Mox Pearl. We'll play the Mox Pearl. Demonic Tutor can go get Underworld Breach, but then I have no mana to recast anything. So I don't think that's a winning line. I could Demonic Tutor for Time Walk, but then what am I doing next turn? Casting Flow State and hoping to hit? I think I'm going to end up taking the Time Walk line. I don't love it, but it's where we're at. I will grab Time Walk, cast it. I think I'm going to use the Bauble here. Just help me dig a little bit deeper. Their top card is the One Ring. I'll go to my next turn. The draw will put me down to 6. Mana Crypt, I'll say Tails. We lose the flip, and now we're at 3. 2. We'll play Lotus Petal. And I guess we really are all in on this Flow State. Alright, Flow State. And we find the Underworld Breach. Lucky dog. Alright, so now we'll play the Soul Ring, Underworld Breach, and it should be pretty easy from here. Cast Demonic Tutor. I'll grab Brain Freeze. We already have the Lotus Petal. I'll play Underground Sea and Brain Freeze targeting myself. We'll play Mox Sapphire, exile some lands. Mox Emerald. Brain Freeze, target you. Magic Online is having a heart attack right now. I'm going to hold priority, and I will... Maybe that's just foolish. I'll just play a Mishra's Bauble. Holding priority on Magic Online is not the easiest thing, and our opponent got bored and conceded. I know that I have that, like, hold priority button or whatever. I made that. That is not at all tied to Magic Online. That's just basically a visual indicator that I'm holding the control key on my keyboard. It's not tied to Magic Online whatsoever. But I've had trouble playing some decks online where it requires you to hold priority, so I just don't play those anymore. I really wish that Magic Online would put an official indicator so you know when you're actually holding priority. For facing Raker shops, I definitely want Consign to Memory. Probably the Dismembers. Do not want Pyroblast or Flusterstorm. We probably want Needle, because you can name Sensi's Divining Top. Cut 1 Mishra's Bauble. I'm going to board out Lorien Revealed again. We have 14 lands in our deck. I know it's a part of our mana base, but it's just like not a card I ever want to cast. And unfortunately, I think 1 Bilbo Thief in the Night. We'll try this. All mana and a Consign to Memory on the draw. But don't forget, you can play your Lurrus on turn 1. I don't think we're actually allowed to keep this. We'll try this bottom of land. Mana Crypt into Soul Ring. Okay. Mox Sapphire. I'm in trouble. And a One Ring. You got it. I have to hope that between Mana Crypt and the One Ring, they put themselves to 0. We'll play Pithing Needle. We'll name the One Ring. Pass the turn. They're already down to 16. They have a Glaring Flesh Raker. And their first Sensi's Divining Top. That's not good for me. And a Time Vault. Okay. 2 cards still in hand. They could have 2 different cards to kill me here. Either a key or another Sensi's Divining Top. They're going to spin with Sensi's Divining Top. In my opinion, they probably should have done this before playing the Time Vault. Because if you found another Sensi's Divining Top, I just lose the game. We find a second copy of Dismember. I don't know if I need 2, but here we are. We'll kill the Glaring Flesh Raker. I go to 14. Pass the turn. They win the Mana Crypt. They go down to 15 from the One Ring. Mystic Forge. I think I'm pressured into countering this. We'll Consign to Memory. They draw a card with Sensi's Divining Top. Mox Ruby. So now they have access to 2 mana. Vexing Bauble, sure. Ataxian Probe. Not a particularly good card here. I could pay the 2 life, have it get countered, and then get to Flow State for 2. That's probably the move. So I'll pay life on purpose. This is not a play mistake. And because we did that, I can now Flow State for 2 cards. We'll take the Misty Rainforest and Force of Negation. Play the land, pass. They won their Mana Crypt, flip again. They replay Sensi's Divining Top, that resolves. They activate Sensi's Divining Top to look at the top 3. And now they draw a card. There's a Saga, that's a good one. That's not good for me at all, though. That's going to find them the key in 3 turns to just win the game. So I need to find a Consign to Memory, while also not dying to the constructs. I'll keep another Flow State, play Flow State, take a Braid and Bilbo. I mean, that's not nothing. So they lose the Mana Crypt flip this time, and now they're down to 10. Saga goes to the second chapter. Problem is, I think I'm just dead to the Urza Saga constructs. I found the answer to the Time Vault, but I just needed, like a Pithing Needle or something. Or a Consign to Memory instead of the Bilbo. They replace Sensi's Divining Top. Scrolling Crawler. Sure. So now I go to 10. I think I just have to pass here. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm not even going to show them that I have a Braid. It'd just be a waste. I'm going to resubmit. Game 3 on the play. Reveal our Lurrus of the Dream Den. I mean, if Brainstorm finds a second land, but it's a big if. I'll keep. Pass the turn. They play Mana Vault. Glaring Flesh Raker. I'm going to allow that to resolve because I'm holding the Dismember. And we will dismember the Glaring Flesh Raker. You can have a key. Galarian Academy. Well, it's a land. It's just not one that taps for mana. I'll play Brainstorm. There we go. Put back Underworld Breach and Flow State. Play Mox Sapphire. We'll play Time Walk. And now we'll play a Flow State. Take Mox Pearl and... Here's a tough one. Do you take the Consign to Memory to have double backup? I don't think so. We'll just take the Underworld Breach. Play the Mox Pearl. And I think I'm going to Flow State. Force of Will. Mox Jet. Play the Mox Jet. Bilbo. Okay, so we need to live for 1 turn. Also, Flow State was very, very impressive there, where I don't know if I'd say the same thing about Gifts and Given. Surprised they didn't untap the Mana Vault on the end step, because then they would have had a lot more mana this turn. Now they untap the Mana Vault. Earn the Great Creator. Earn the Great Piece of Trash is more like it, and you can go straight to the garbage. They play Urza Saga. Mana Crypt. Okay. Feel like we can find a win this turn. We're going to Talon Gates my Bilbo away, which is fine. We'll play Mox Ruby, Underworld Breach, Flow State, Dismember, Time Walk, Force of Will. And that did not find anything good. We'll take Flooded Strand and Consign to Memory. Fetch. So I could grab a Sewers here, and that gets me one card deeper Surveil-wise for Flow State. But it shuts off hitting Demonic Tutor to stay in it. I think I'm going to take the Sewers. And we just milled into the win. Holy moly! How lucky. That's twice this league where I've just like spiked the nuts. Okay. Go grab Brain Freeze. Target myself. Well, I need a Mox here so I can recast the Brain Freeze. Alright, and I hit a Mox Emerald. We'll play that. It was looking a little scary there for a second. Gitaxian Probe just for Storm. And now Brain Freeze will mill the rest of my deck. So I will have no library left, and then I can start decking them. So you might be thinking, why do you need to mill your entire library? Well, what if on some sort of chance, both Black Lotus and Lotus Petal were in the bottom 3? I don't want to cost myself the game. So you might as well just make sure that you have the win, and then just win after that. And we've won the match. We are now 3-0. This deck list feels really, really good. I'd like to win match number 4. Let's go see if we can make that a reality. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. We return for the 4th match, revealing our Lurrus of the Dream Den on the draw. So does our opponent. Okay, so we have a lot of interaction. I don't have a black mana for the Vampiric Tutor, but I still think that this is a keep. They lead on Underground Sea. Always with the Ancestral Recall. Alright, we'll exile a Force of Negation. I find that it tends to not be very good versus the Frog decks, and I think that's what they're playing. And they had they have a Force to protect it. Yeah. And because they did it on my upkeep, I couldn't use Force of Negation. I draw the land, but I feel like the damage has already been done. We'll pass. They have a Polluted Delta and a Psychic Frog. Yep. We're in trouble. I will Vampiric Tutor. Go grab Ancestral Recall. We'll play Sink in a Stupor. Ouch. Ancestral Recall. They have another Force of Negation. I will Flusterstorm, Ancestral, and we must pass. So we're back at parity, but they have a Psychic Frog in play and I don't. So I still think they're slightly favored now. Undercity Sewers, and a second Psychic Frog. Oh my. End step will cycle the Lorien Revealed. Go grab Volcanic Island. Bilbo, Thief in the Night. Well, Bilbo's not bad here. Because it allows me to recast Ancestral Recall next turn, assuming that it lives. Let's play Volcanic Island. If they have like a Fatal Push, which these decks do play, it really sets me back. I think I'm supposed to stock up and try to hit a Mox, and then play Bilbo. I'd also love like Black Lotus Underworld Breach. I mean, I'd certainly take that. We'll take Force of Will, Pyroblast. I mean, we only have the one Pyroblast. So, I mean, there's one black card in my deck. I don't know, maybe I was supposed to leave the Underground Sea for the Volcanic Island tapped, but I don't know if I'm supposed to play towards a one of. Okay, I have to pass the turn. So they're about to draw 2 cards here off the Psychic Frogs. There's a Saga, 5 cards still in hand. Black Lotus. They have 5 cards. We'll play the Lotus, put Lurrus to hand, play Lurrus. The Lurrus resolved, we'll play the Black Lotus. And I think I want to play Bilbo here. Attempt to pass the turn. If they try to Fatal Push, I can Flusterstorm. They did not try to Fatal Push. No blocks. So now they'll draw 2. They have a land, 7 cards in hand, Black Lotus. This Flusterstorm is never getting cast. And now they're fetching with Polluted Delta. Fatal Push on Lurrus. I don't think Lurrus is the one that matters here, so I'm actually going to allow that to happen. Soul Ring. We'll start by playing Soul Ring and then attacking. They have an Orcish Bowmasters. So I was going to Ancestral Recall. I think now the plan is to cast Stock Up. Well, I guess if I cast Stock Up, I'd lose a colored mana. Maybe I should have held the Soul Ring. Maybe that was a play mistake. Merchant Scroll has no good targets here. I think it's just Stock Up. Yeah, I think I messed up playing the Soul Ring. I was thinking about it for Storm purposes, in case there was like a big stack war, but Because now I'm going to waste the mana from Soul Ring so I can keep my colored mana open. So Black Lotus is in my graveyard. Post-combat, I can Demonic Tutor for Underworld Breach, but I think I'm just dead. I'll take Demonic Tutor stock up. They block the Bilbo. It will die. I think I'm going to try to kill a frog here. Because it could, theoretically, if they interact, I could use the Flusterstorm and it wouldn't be a dead card anymore. They Mindbreak Trap. I will Flusterstorm. And they want to Force of Will on the Pyroblast. They have 2 cards in their hand. I think I just let that go. Because right now I'm not dead. They make a Construct, okay. They did not get a Soul Guide Lantern. We are still in this. They do get to draw 2 cards here up to 5, but I am not dead. Null Rod. Really? I have to counter this, or at least attempt to. Force of Will, hope that it resolves. And it does resolve, okay. We've already seen 2 Force of Negations, which means there's 0 to 1 left. I think I just have to take my chance at winning here. Demonic Tutor. Like, you could try to stock up first, but you'd have to be incredibly lucky to hit. Underworld Breach. And they had they had double Force of Will. We'll play Bilbo as a blocker, I guess. All they have to do is discard cards to Frog and I'm dead. And they have Fatal Push. Okay. Alright, so we probably want Dismember. I'm not a huge fan of Force of Negation in this matchup, so we can get rid of those. I don't know if there's anything else in my sideboard I even want here. But I think we just swap Force of Negation and Dismember and call it a day. Game number 2 on the play. Reveal Lurrus. Well, this is a powerful hand we'll keep. It's turn 1 Ancestral with Flusterstorm backup. We did see Mindbreak Trap. We'll play Merchant Scroll, grab Ancestral Recall, play Mox Sapphire, Lotus Petal, pass the turn. And their upkeep will Ancestral Recall. Okay, things are looking pretty good. They play Underground Sea and Thoughtseize. I'm going to Flusterstorm this. So if we wanted to be a little bold, we could Underworld Breach back Ancestral Recall. I just don't know if that's a good idea. We'll play our land. Lurrus to hand and we'll pass. They have Wasteland, that hurts, because now I can't even cast the Underworld Breach. Grafdigger's Cage. I have to try to counter this. The Wasteland here was devastating. Tails. Sink in a Stupor. That doesn't really help me, we'll pass. Strip Mine. Yeah. They have another Grafdigger's Cage. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, that's so brutal. Tails. My only out to it is this Sink in a Stupor, which is not exactly easy to cast. I guess I have an Abrade. I guess I could, in theory, Abrade the Grafdigger's Cage. And now they have Psychic Frog. Yep. I think there was one decision this game where I could have made a difference if I would have just jammed the Underworld Breach on turn 2. But I didn't know the game was going to play out like this. We're just drawing like garbage. Pass the turn. Psychic Frog now connects. They get to see that my hand is bad. They have their own Black Lotus. 3 cards in their hand. Mana Crypt. Even if I drew Black Lotus here, it doesn't get me out of this. Like, I am so far removed. We'll say Tails, I win the flip. We find a stock up. I doubt this resolves, but this is one of the few cards that could get us back in it. They discard an Undercity Sewers, which is strange here. And now they dig through time. Okay. Does stock up resolve? I doubt it. It does. Wow. Okay. So they have 3 cards. Misty Rainforest, Mox Ruby. Play the land. Play Mox Ruby. Thinking really hard about this Mox Ruby. And then I would like to attempt a Pyroblast on the Frog. Alright, that all resolved. What was your dig through time? They cast a Time Walk. Yep. Which is apparently just a free cycle. And step will fetch. Orcish Bowmasters, I don't care about that. I mean, I care if they have interaction, because I can't beat interaction. So I'm just trying to think about this. If I grab Underground Sea, Vampiric Tutor for, I don't know, Force of Will, I have to sink in a Stupor on the cage. I don't think I can afford to try to protect it. So I could grab, like, Tolarian Academy for mana to make things easier, but I don't think I can actually protect my Underworld Breach. And does getting Tolarian Academy even help me? I don't think that it does. So I'm going to just grab Undercity Sewers here. We don't need a Lorien Revealed. Tails. I go to 4. So basically the only way I can win this is if our opponent has nothing. We'll attempt to bounce the Grafdigger's Cage. And they have a Force of Will. They had 2 Force of Wills. And I have to pass. So we're going to be hit down to 2, and I have to hope that the Mana Crypt doesn't kill me. So in comes the attack. If they have no other effects, I go to 2. They have 2 cards. Another Psychic Frog. I think that probably does me in here. We'll say Tails. I didn't die, but I think I'm just dead to the Psychic Frog. I can't Vampiric Tutor. I'm at 2 life. So a Braid answers the cage, but I only have 1 red mana. And if I drew another black mana, I could play Lurrus, but Frog flies over Lurrus and kills me. So I don't think we have any outs here. We draw a Mental Misstep, and that's definitely not going to do it. So we end up losing to the Dimir tempo deck of the format, and we are now, unfortunately, 3-1. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. The final round of this vintage league, we're looking to bounce back after that tough loss and win match number 5. Our opponent also reveals a Lurrus of the Dream Den. I will keep this, but I don't love it. It's fine. It could be better. We'll begin on Undercity Sewers. I think I will keep Gitaxian Probe, play Mox Jet, and pass. They play a Tundra, Mana Crypt, okay. Soul Ring, Fast Start, Oswald Fiddlebender, you've got it. Oh my, that's a very good hand. So I was going to pass and then Gitaxian Probe them. I think the game plan has changed. We're just going to go grab on Black Lotus with this Vampiric Tutor, assuming that it resolves. So we'll play Black Lotus. If I make red, do I have a win here? I might not. I don't think I have a win. So if I make red, I play Breach, Merchant Scroll. I'm 1 card short. And that's assuming, I mean, I think I just have to cast my spells. Technically, I think this wins if they don't interact. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need them to interact. I'm not even sure. I'm just going to cast my spells and pray. Because I have to put Pyroblast to the graveyard, so I need them to actually force here if they have it. And they do have the force. I will Pyroblast. Target your force. Breach. And now I can Merchant Scroll for Brain Freeze, replay Black Lotus, and then that does it. Let's go! Play Black Lotus. Brain Freeze. Nice. Turn 2 with protection. Not bad. So there's some sort of Oswald Fiddlebender deck. We'll bring in Needles. Maybe Dismembers. I don't know. They seem like a combo deck, so maybe Mindbreak Trap. I don't have a lot of experience against what we're playing, but I don't think that they're like an all-in combo deck. I think they're just more like use Oswald to set up key combo. So maybe I don't want those. I also don't know if I want Consign to Memory. I probably do. Take out Mishra's Baubles, got the Pyroblast, 1 Bilbo, and then goodbye to Lorien Revealed. I'm 1 card short at the moment. Maybe I don't need all 4 copies of Consign. I will attempt this, and if I realize that I boarded incorrectly for Game 2, I could always change it for Game 3. This hand is risky, but I think I'm going to keep it. Because if you hit your blue land, this hand is very good. They have Black Lotus, stock up. I will Force of Negation, exile Bilbo. And they let it go. They play Mox Sapphire, cycles a Lorien Revealed for a Tundra, and they don't play the Tundra. Okay. I did not hit my blue land, which I knew was a possibility when I kept it, and I felt even worse about it knowing that I boarded out Lorien Revealed, but I don't think you're supposed to ship back double force in a combo matchup. We'll pass the turn. They play a Tundra, another Bilbo, we'll pass. It appears that they don't have anything here. Mox Emerald, exactly what we wanted. Am I supposed to put Lurrus to hand? I'm so far away from that being relevant. And then I'd end up having to go to cleanup, so I think I'm going to just pass here. They have a Flooded Strand, 5 cards in hand, Merchant Scroll. We will pass. They grab Meticulous Archive, and they're still not doing anything here. Dismember. It might seem crazy. I was thinking about it. I actually want the Lurrus in my hand because it allows me to discard the Merchant Scroll, which means if I draw a blue land, Flow State has both modes on. Discard the Merchant Scroll. They play a Nile Spellbomb, sure. Mox Pearl. Alright, now I'm just a jet away from casting Lurrus. Let's go. We will pass the turn. For what it's worth, the cards that I boarded out for Lorien Revealed I have not drawn, which were consigned to memory. They have 7 cards in their hand and they're just passing. Ancestral Recall. I think unfortunately I'm supposed to discard the Bilbo. They play stock up. We just let this go, I think. Imagine if I drew Tolarian Academy. Whew. What a world. They play Mox Pearl and a Scalding Tarn. A land that taps for blue mana. I cannot believe it. Let's attempt a flow state. Does this eat the Nile Spellbomb? We'll take Needle and Time Walk. Play the Needle. They fetch in response. And they use the Nile Spellbomb. I think I might still name Nile Spellbomb just because they have access to Lurrus of the Dream Den. I could also name Wasteland if we think that they're a Wasteland deck. But I'm going to name Nile Spellbomb. I don't think the Oswald Fiddlebender deck is a Wasteland deck. Demonic Tutor. Okay. They fetch with Flooded Strand. Looks like they grabbed another Tundra. 8 cards in their hand, so they're actually discarding here. Gets rid of Paradoxical Outcome. Okay. Underworld Breach. I wonder if it's crazy to just play Breach here. Make them counter it. Because I don't even care if it resolves. And then if it does resolve, I can play Brainstorm. Or Brain Freeze and try to hit. The Ancestral Recall. I feel like I'm falling for a trap here. It's probably a Mind Break. I will Force of Will, exile Time Walk. They Force of Negation, exiling Chain of Vapor. They're targeting Breach. So we're going to see if the Force on Ancestral goes. Trying really hard to not play in a Mind Break trap here. But I guess if they have trap, they get to spend 4 mana on their turn. Alright, let's Ancestral. And they do have the Mind Break trap. Okay. Pass the turn. Vexing Bauble. It's not the end of the world for me here. I'll come for 3. That's annoying. Mox Pearl, Mox Sapphire. I'm going to get rid of these Dismembers if I lose this. Vexing Bauble is back. They play a Key. 4 cards still in hand. The Lotus Petal does not help me here. Let's Flow State. Take the Underground Sea. We'll play Lurrus. Pass the turn. Assuming that Lurrus lives, next turn I could in theory go Lotus Petal Brain Freeze and try to hit my 1 remaining Underworld Breach. They have a Swords to Plowshares. Okay. They Vampiric Tutor. Oh, they just have the win here. Yeah, you got it. Alright, so Dismember was actively bad. They're on Paradoxical Outcome, which I do know that there's like a fringe outcome deck that does exist with Oswald in it, but I thought they were more of a dedicated deck, and I just boarded wrong. So we're going to board like it's outcome, get rid of the Dismembers. I don't even think I want Consign to Memory. Bring back a Lorien Revealed. I don't want the Needles. We'll try this. The final game of this vintage league on the play. I think we keep this. It's a very reactive hand, but I think it's fine enough. They just play Underground Sea and pass. Lorien Revealed. We'll just pass the turn here and Surveil on their end step. Vampiric Tutor. Urza's Saga. I'll fetch. The question is, did they get Ancestral Recall or did they grab Urza's Saga? Don't think we want to land here. Well, no Ancestral Recall yet. We'll play Bilbo, Thief in the Night. And there's the Ancestral Recall. I will Pyroblast the Ancestral. And they Force of Negation, exiling Force of Will. So their Ancestral Recall resolves. And now Bilbo. And we have to pass the turn. So they're in a much better spot than I am. Saga goes to the second chapter. We have a Flooded Strand, Mana Crypt, Mox Sapphire. Let's cycle Lorien Revealed. We'll grab Volcanic Island. We'll play it. Play the Mox Sapphire. And I'm going to Abrade the Mana Crypt. The Flusterstorm. Interesting. I say interesting because when the Bilbo attacks, I can cast it again. I'll attack with the Bilbo, cast the Abrade, and I'll attempt to destroy the Mana Crypt. They make a construct, but it's only a 1/1 after the Abrade resolves. Or assuming the Abrade resolves. And they'll end up taking 2 here. Pass. They fetch with Flooded Strand, 4 cards still in their hand. And they Surveil away Paradoxical Outcome. Saga goes to the third chapter. Looks like they're not interested in making another construct. They grab Key. Yeah, you got me. My Mind Break trap did nothing. So unfortunately, we started this league off very hot 3-0, and then we lost back-to-back rounds. You could argue I boarded wrong in match 5, which is true. I did. But I didn't know for sure what they were playing, and that cost me. And then game 3, you know, sometimes you get vintaged, and that happens. So, what did I think of the deck? I liked it. You could probably try 2 Bilbo Thief in the Night. I think that's something that you could try out. I thought 3 was fine, but I also think there was a few matches where I boarded out 1, which means that maybe you could get rid of 1 and try something else there. But overall, the deck was good. I did not miss Mana Drain or Gifts Ungiven once, and I would probably play something really similar to this if I were going to Eternal Weekend this year. You could look at like a single Hexing Squelcher over the 3rd Bilbo, and I think that would be pretty interesting. But that's where I would lean right now. If you have any thoughts, opinions, feedback, whatever, put those in the comment section down below. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing Bilbo in action and a little bit of vintage as well. I hope you have a wonderful day. As always, keep storming. Are you looking to level up your combo game? There's no better way than signing up for an Epic Storm tutoring session with myself truly. You could visit theepicstorm.com/tutoring to sign up today, or you could even become a member of the Combo Cabal here on this very YouTube channel. With all the additional perks, you get 1 hour of tutoring every month. Go check that out.